shining star who will be remembered for the light and love she brought to the world. The tributes for Sarah Harding have been pouring in after her mother announced the 39-year-old passed away yesterday from breast cancer.
Former judge of Pop Stars The Rivals, the show which helped launch Sarah's career with Girls Aloud, Pete Waterman joins us now from Cheshire, and Dr. Hilary's here in the studio as well. I think, Pete, it's testament to the impact that Sarah had and the energy and enthusiasm which she sort of certainly seemed to attack life publicly, that there have been so many messages we've had regarding her and what a loss she'll be and how special people considered her to be and her talent as well. I mean, you know her, or you knew her personally, of course, and went through that extraordinary experience of helping launch her career. What were your first impressions of Sarah Harding when you met her?
She was just a lovely, lovely young kid, you know. She couldn't believe she was in this competition. And she bubbled with enthusiasm. She was just real, you know, and that's, I guess, what the programme picked up was her ordinariness. But she had enthusiasm. She was the girl next door. That's why she was in the band. You know, the public loved her.
Pete, can you just describe, because we're just watching that first audition now, what was it like when she first entered the room? As you say, she was like the girl next door, but did you spot immediately star quality? Because she became, as part of the band, a huge star.
Oh, you know, I mean, this is obviously 20 years later or whatever, but yes, you do. I mean, certain people, when they walk in the room, have an aura about them, and you pick up that's what you're looking for. And she did that. There's no question about that. In my, you know, I remember going to her house. There was no question that she would be in the final band. There was probably 10 people who could have made it. I would never, ever... I remember talking to her during the show at times and saying, don't worry, you know, you're going to be there. Because she always doubted herself. She had the enthusiasm, but she didn't over-self-believe.
I mean, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because when you're putting together a group, you want to get lots of different characters and personalities within that group. And Sarah certainly filled this sort of the character of the little minx, the one that could be a bit naughty and was a bit of a wild child as well, wasn't she? I mean, sort of listening to her talk about her time in Pop Stars, she sort of said she was winging it from week to week. Did you get that impression, Pete? Because it strikes me that actually she, I mean, as you've already said, she maybe didn't understand just how talented she was.
Oh, of course she was winging it. That was the beauty of it. Isn't that the kid next door that suddenly wins a tenner and doesn't get in the sweet shop, doesn't know what to buy next? Of course she was winging it, but you saw she was winging it, and she was absolutely excellent at it. That's why she was so good. And I guess there comes a point where you're thinking, oh my God, this is real. I can actually do this, and that's when it becomes a little bit looser. But you know, whenever I met her, she was always polite. That's the thing, you know, that you don't say about her, because we talk about the wild child and all this, but she was very, very polite. I mean, you know, her and her mum were, you know, smashing. When I went, we went upstairs and jumped on her bed with excitement, and then we had a cup of tea. I mean, that was the Hardings. You know, it was fantastic.
She also, of course, struggled a little bit, didn't she? Like a lot of people do. You know, this idea of fame and success is obviously the dream, and that's what the show, Pop Stars The Rivals, delivered. But it's not always easy, is it? You know, and she definitely... No. Perhaps she was winging it a little bit with that as well.
Oh, of course it's not easy. It's incredible. I mean, the first thing that all people forget about this job, it is hard work. It's like, you know, 20 hours a day, cameras are in your face all the time, journalists are on the phone all the time. It can be not fun. And I think if you come out of a show like this and it's all exciting and it's fun, then it starts to become another interview after another interview, and the interviewers are asking the same question. It becomes a little bit tiring, and then the shine goes off it a little bit, and then you start to get all the demons kicking. And that is absolutely natural. And it's very hard to sort of say to young people, right, now calm down, because this is not going to last forever. because everybody thinks it's going to last forever, and of course, it never does.
I wonder how much you were able to keep in touch with her, particularly, you know, through COVID, through the lockdown. We know that that interfered in a way with her ability to get the help, the treatment that she needed for the cancer, because she mentioned that, you know, firstly, she sort of didn't perhaps get the attention for the lumps that she felt, and then COVID slowed down her ability to get access to treatment. Were you able to have many conversations with her during that time?
No, because, I mean, you know, this is an incredibly personal thing, isn't it? I mean, this is something that you only, you know, a lady can, or a woman can deal with, a man. Yeah. And certainly, you know, she's locked down. I didn't bump into her at all during this period. But it's an incredibly difficult period, and I don't know how you would deal with that. And COVID on top of it, you know, being locked down, must make it worse, because you really don't feel you can go out and be normal.
Yeah, it certainly heaped on the pressure. And Dr. Hilary's in the studio. Hills, 39 is extremely young, and it's no age, of course. Sarah had lived her life at 100 miles an hour through her pop career, and then was looking forward to the next part of her life and what was going to happen there at a more sedate pace. I think she said herself she'd stepped back from the limelight in recent years. But to be robbed of that life and that opportunity at a young age is heartbreaking for her and for her family.
It's tragic, isn't it? I mean, every single paper has got a beautiful picture of her dazzling smile. You know, she was always smiling, she was vivacious, she was a party animal, she loved life, she lived it to the full. And I had the privilege of interviewing the group many years ago, which was outside my normal remit, I must say, but they were all lovely and have been very successful. And I think this fact will bring many women down to earth today. Just 39. Breast cancer only happens to older women, doesn't it? They'll be asking, and clearly it doesn't. It happens to women in their 20s and 30s as well. It's rare, mercifully, but we do still see it. About 5% of cases occur in women under 40. So being aware of the early signs and symptoms is still really important. If people are worried that there's been a change in the size, the shape, the texture of the breast, if there's any puckering of the skin, any in-pulling of the nipple, any discharge, anything like that, here are the pictures that hopefully people are becoming more familiar with now.
And in Sarah's case, it was a lump under the arm.
Under the armpit. These were the lymph glands that were the first sign for her. And if in doubt, just go and get it checked out. I know that people are finding it difficult to get appointments with their GP face-to-face at the moment, but cancer cases are prioritised. If you think you've got anything that even could be suspicious like that, then even if it's triage first on an online consultation, you will be seen face-to-face by the doctor and referred urgently for investigation and treatment. Absolutely vital that this is happening right now.
In her autobiography, she said that she didn't seek a diagnosis quicker because of lockdown, but also she used that as an excuse to put off seeking help. Something that she wanted to sort of make it very clear to people. If you have any concerns with anything, don't put it off.
Absolutely. It's really very, very important that people don't put these things off at all. You know, it doesn't take very long to do a quick check, ask a few questions. Is there a family history? Look at the age of the patient, an examination. If necessary, other investigations can be carried out very quickly. Cancer checks are carried out for breast cancer within 3 weeks, and they are prioritised in COVID-19 secure hubs. So people needn't be fearful of going into hospital and getting these tests. They needn't be fearful of bothering their GP. We want to see you if you've got these signs and symptoms, and it's very important that we do.
Pete, you were there right at the beginning. You visited her mum. You made her famous. What would you like to say about Sarah this morning, and say to her family as well? Because, you know, the loss of someone so young is so utterly devastating.
Yeah, I think that, you know, it's harder for those that are left behind because they have to grieve. So my heart goes out to them. I know how that feels to lose a child. It's very difficult. But I think that Dr. Hilary just said there, if you have a fear, deal with it. Don't put it off. It won't go away. And I think that's what she would have said. If you have a problem, get it sorted.
Absolutely right. And if her legacy can be that women know some of the symptoms and know to push, to be seen, you know, that would be vitally important. Pete Waterman, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm sorry, because, you know, it's obviously going to impact you as well. You know, it's a massive loss, and you were so involved in her career and her success. Thank you for spending time with us this morning.